Just go
And
ahead.
then back to the first one.
No, so Zarmeda, it's a different continent, same.
Lovely.
Well, it's such a nice template that you found. I like it.
It is cool.
Well, hello to everybody who is joining us today, both in person and online. My name is Jim Ryan, and I'm joined here by my absolutely wonderful co-host, Gina Mikel Petrie.
Thank you very much. I'm here to learn just like everyone else. And this particular episode was kind of, I think, brought about in part by me being so anxious to learn these technologies to do what I learned to do with Jim.
Yeah, and a lot of the barriers that come in front of us when we see all these crazy technologies out there is that I can't do it. It's too difficult for me to learn. It's out of my wheelhouse. I don't even want to try it because I'm going to spend so much time and I'm going to get results that I don't really like. And I think that's what goes through a lot of people's minds. When I had to go and learn some new technologies that I was extremely intimidated by, that was my first experience. But then after I got into it, I realized, gosh, it's really not as hard as I kind of beat myself down into thinking. So sometimes we're our own worst enemies when it comes to learning new skills, and it's often way easier than we originally think it is. And that's what I'm hoping to show a little bit of here today. So this is just kind of a recap of last time, what we talked about. And if you are curious and you have not seen the previous presentation, you can go to the Faculty Commons website where we covered on October 16th. What we originally discussed was the genesis, the goals, the role of gamification, and the role of the tools and how those played a part in Gina's course, multi-course design.
Yeah.
And then today we're going to be covering the hands-on guidance and use of tools to make everything happen, which is AI, podcasting, video, and other really cool things. And then coming up next week, we're going to go a little bit over kind of the feedback that Gina's received so far from the courses that she's been teaching. And hopefully we'll have some really interesting things to talk about.
And also to share that I am a completely different instructor now. And I want to talk about that. Really changed me.
Well, jump in. Feel free to jump in.
No, that's next time.
Oh, that's next time. Okay, I'll say we'll save all the good stuff for next time.
Next time.
Okay. So here, when we're talking about what does it mean to put all the pieces of the puzzle together, there is no one solution for everything you want to do. There's lots of little solutions. So what you need to do is try and find the tool that best fits your need and then use that tool. More or less. It does take some planning out, some pre-planning. You have to think about how much work do I need to put in? Is the work that I'm putting in more than necessary or just enough? And if it ends up taking up more of your time, then it's not really as useful a tool as you would have thought it was. And you end up spending more time trying to ham fist something and try and make that round peg fit through that square hole, and it just won't get in there. So then it's maybe time to move on to something else or try some other ideas. The one that we talked about quite a bit last time was podcasting, and we're going to cover the details of that today. We're going to go over some of the Adobe products that everybody here who is an employee has access to. All you have to do is go to IT if you don't already, or if you haven't already, and ask for some Adobe keys. You'll have access to the full Adobe suite: Photoshop, Premiere, After Effects, Acrobat, if you're just really into making PDFs. And then my favorite is Adobe Podcast. Another AI tool that we're going to talk about that is free and you can host on your own computer. And there's a caveat with that if you have a compatible graphics card, because it does take some computational energy that it needs to use the GPU for. But Pinocchio is absolutely one of my favorite multi-tools when it comes to AI. Think of it like a Swiss Army knife. If, something's needs to get screwed in, you can pull out the little tool and screw it in. If it needs to get cut, you pull out the knife and you cut it. If it needs to be, if you need to open a bottle, there's something there for you to be able to use that will fit the application that you have needed. And there's online tools, obviously, that we can take advantage of that the school has access to, such as Copilot, Microsoft Copilot, I think Gemini. And then there's another one that I'm going to try and show off today that'll hopefully inspire you with some ideas for that. And then again, it's all about putting together where is it appropriate to use these things, where are they most effective. And I think that's really the biggest struggle is once you figure out what your course is going to be like, it's all trying to make these little puzzle pieces fit together in the right spots and not trying to just push one thing the whole way and try and make one thing work for everything because it's never really going to work out that way. So starting off with podcasting tools, I mean, Zoom is technically an okay medium if you're going to be doing podcasting, if it's absolutely necessary, if somebody is, across town and you don't want to have to make that trek or on the other side of the world, or you're just having a bad day and you just want to lay in bed, you can absolutely use Zoom as a tool for podcasting. I believe it does have some options, and I'd have to go and look into it a bit more when it comes to the microphone selecting and audio settings. Sometimes in here they have a mode.
But it just kind of shows up for us on the screen as like a.
Oh, yeah, it's not really showing up there. That's unfortunate. Sometimes they have this section on here for live performance audio that's recommended for multiple instruments or voices or for studio environments. They do have some audio options that can be enhanced in Zoom, but I generally don't like using Zoom because the way they're able to manage all the video and audio streams going between each and every person is they have to compress down that data and make it so that the video quality isn't too great. And just the same thing with audio. The audio quality, they really have to shrink that bandwidth down so that you only really get to hear the essential part of the voice in order to be able to communicate with somebody and hear what they're saying in a relatively clear manner. So when we're talking about doing higher quality recordings, doing it in person, you can use something as simple as your phone. There's lots of different applications you can look for that just does sound recording, and you can put this between yourself and another person in a quiet room and just have a conversation. If it's going to be like that, you probably will have to be a little bit closer to each other. So just, get ready to be comfortable with somebody. But if you are able to connect on some kind of, I don't know, social communication application that does have higher quality audio, you're going to want to try and invest in something like a USB microphone, like I have listed here up in that upper left-hand corner. The higher quality ones like this, they really do catch a wider range of sound. They catch the lower bass in your voice and the higher treble, so it's not all crunched down in the middle and sounding kind of bland. The other thing I recommend is this thing right here. I don't know if you can see that. It's on. Well, I mean, it's there on the screen, but also this is a Tascam audio recorder. These things will generally go around $70 on Amazon if you're looking for them, but these have fantastic audio quality with them. And a lot of times when you have recorders, you'll have to mess with the settings because you'll be talking at one volume and another person will be talking at a different volume. And so the levels will be different, but this unit here does a pretty good job of managing that automatically. And the great thing is that it has these two microphones on either side here. I don't know if you can see that. You can see there's one microphone on each side. And so that means you can just set this up between you and that other person, whoever you're talking with, and have that conversation and not have to be super close, but you can still get decent quality and it'll sound really good with that. The last thing I have here on the list is over-the-ear headphones. So when we go through and I show you how we're doing some of the editing in Adobe Podcast, you really want to be able to hear. I mean, obviously you want to be able to hear everything. Sometimes there's going to be, some noise in the system. There's going to be mistakes that people made, some ums, some uhs, and you want to be able to catch those because when I show you this a little bit later, it's going to be really easy to edit those things out. And when you have something like over-the-ear headphones, it's a lot better than just like the ones you stick in your ears because, again, those over-the-ears tend to have a much wider bandwidth and you can hear a lot broader spectrum than you can with those little itty bitty guys that can just cram your ear and you just hear the minimum and it's low quality, and it makes it a lot harder to do editing with that.
You know what I think? I think that there should be checkout equipment here at the Faculty Commons. I was bugging you all the time to use, what was that? What do I wrote? The GoPro. The GoPro. I think we should have a bunch of equipment that we can check out. And you're right here at the Faculty Commons. You can remind us as we're heading out. Don't forget to do this, double check the batteries, et cetera, et cetera. Just a thought, folks. Oh yeah, Jesse likes it. See?
No, thank you. I got a heart. I like the hearts. Yeah. Great thought. And that is an excellent point. So when you are getting ready to prepare to do like a podcast or a video recording, you got to do some light work in the front end. And I mean, Gina, we talked a little about this when it came to just taking the equipment. So I had to make sure that batteries were all charged, that you had a fresh card in there, and that you knew the right settings and what buttons to push to go out and record. Yeah. Did you have any issues with that when you were out?
Of course I did.
What kind of issues did you have when you went out?
So I have old brain syndrome. So if there was a few weeks between the time, so I would do podcasts in kind of bursts. And if there were a couple of weeks where Catherine and I were working on some other elements of the course, maybe like planning out what those podcasts were going to do, and then I would borrow the equipment again, it would take a minute before I'd remember how to start it, how to restart it, that kind of thing. So there was that. A few times batteries did go dead, but I always had extra with me because you reminded me.
Yeah, I have a little box that has 3 batteries in there because inevitably it's going to happen, whether it's the double A's in here that almost went out on us on a previous recording, or it's the batteries fit in there. Anything that has a battery, just make sure you got spares lying around somewhere. And same with the memory card. It's never a bad idea to have an extra memory card just in case it goes bad or you lose it, something always happens. So see if I can move forward with this. So let's try it out a little bit. So I was talking about Adobe Podcasts, and this is an extremely simple text-based audio editor. So and I'll walk you through this, when you upload your audio file, you're going to upload it to 2 places. The first place you'll generally want to upload it to is the vocal enhancement section. And again, we're going to go through this, so don't worry about it. I'm just giving you the preface of this. Sent to the vocal enhancement section, and it's going to take, if you're listening to audio, you're going to have hissing, there's going to be some room noise, there's going to be some echo, somebody's going to be coughing, somebody's going to be tapping on the table. Adobe Podcast takes care of all of that stuff. And you can't really believe it until you actually hear it. So it's really amazing. So the second thing here, because it's a text-based audio editor, it actually lets you delete, copy, paste, and insert whatever audio you want. So if you say something at the end of your recording and you want to take that line of text and audio and move it higher up earlier in that recording, all you have to do is select that line of text, Control X, cut it out of there, go to the place where you want to put it in, hit Control V and paste it in there, and it will take that audio and text and put it right in that spot, and it'll play absolutely naturally. And then it also gives you multiple options for actually exporting that content. So you can have audio files. If you did upload video, you can do video as well. It does combination of audio and transcription. It can do like multiple different ways that we can go through that whole thing. So what I will do is I will come over here and we'll go to...
Do I have Adobe Podcasts just on my computer? Not an EW employee.
Right. So it's not on the computer. It's actually the website.
All right.
So no, it's fine. It's fine.
I'm not a techie person.
But I mean, it does make a difference because things like Photoshop and Premiere are generally going to be something that you'll have on your computer. This specifically is a web service. So you have to go to the website. And as long as you have your Adobe keys, you can just go to this website and sign in on the corner. Let's see if I can, how do I hide this? Minimize that so I can actually see what I'm doing here. And you just log in over here. I know it's covered up by that little...
So where did you go again?
Podcast.adobe.com.
Podcast.adobe.com.
Right.
Okay, I'm there. So what do I do next?
Okay, so there's two places we'll generally go. So the first place I like to go, once you have your audio recording, is the enhanced speech section. So I'll go ahead and click on there, and you can see what I currently have up is actually the previous recording that we did here last week. I'll just go to a different spot on here. And right now it has the enhanced audio on, but I'm going to turn that off so you can hear what the original audio sound like. And hopefully I'm sharing my audio. So somebody tell me if you can't hear when I'm playing it. So I'm going to go ahead and play it. I can't hear it on my own laptop. So can anybody else hear it? No? Not playing? Let me see here. All right, so let's try this again.
Sure, what I wanted that to look like, but that was where I was.
So you can hear that. It sounds a little bit echoey, a little bit tinny. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn on the audio enhancement, probably 70, and we'll just remove all background noise. And so now when I hit play, it'll sound a little bit different. Next one.
Yeah.
Okay. So, like Gina said, it was literally my first day on the job. I had just sat down at my desk, and I received this email, and I was excited because and it had something that I could actually do that was meaningful. So right there, you've immediately increased the quality of the content that you're producing dramatically, and you don't have to go through Adobe Premiere. You don't have to learn about, doing all your different levels, cutting out the top end and the bottom end and doing hiss filters or any of that stuff. The AI does the whole thing for you just like that. And it is absolute magic as far as I'm concerned.
That is amazing.
So then once you have your audio sounding the way you want to, you're going to come in here into the studio beta and click on that. And then let's see, this we can go ahead and just do this one. I've already got the previous project open up. And when you upload it, it'll give this little pink bar at the top, and it'll ask you if you want to transcribe. And obviously you'll say yes, click and transcribe. And then when it's done transcribing, it'll give you this page with text on it. Now, in this case, we've recorded video, but when you're recording audio, this little, image, depending at what point you're at, won't be there. So here you can see what I'm talking about when we're talking about a text-based audio editor. So I'll just go ahead and play the section here.
I knew what that meant, but it felt like the right direction. So I sent an email on what turned out to be Jim Ryan's first day on campus.
And I don't want you guys to know about my first day on campus. So it was traumatic. Gina, you traumatized me, so I'm gonna cut that out. And then I'm gonna go ahead and play this again.
Which I wasn't sure exactly. She pounced. I did, and I lured him.
You can see that took that entire section out up to the point where it said she pounced, or maybe when she says she pounced, maybe I want to move that from there, and I want to move it over to here.
She pounced. I knew what that meant, but it felt.
So you can take text, move it around. It will move that audio around with you wherever you want it to be, and then you have a lot of options when it comes to music. You can upload your own music if you have a favorite theme song, for favorite TV show or whatever. As long as you're not putting it on YouTube, you won't get a content strike. But there's lots of free music options out there. And then you can choose from their library that they have. They have a bunch of different libraries. So if you want to have an intro, let's say I want to go up here to the very top and I want to put in an intro bit, or if I'm literally this cool, so that's fine for me. So I'll just put this little thing in there, and then that piece of music is in there. So if I wanted to, I would start here and hit play, like then roll, and when it's done.
Wonderful. It's working. I'm,
start with the podcast, and they have lots of options, intros, long, short, outros, something you'd play at the end of your podcast. If you're transitioning between subjects, or you have these different chapters and you want like a little chapter separation by a piece of music, just throw a little, a little something in there, to help the listener understand that there's a break and now we're moving on to something else. So there's lots of options within here that you can do that will really, with that very minimal effort, you can make this actually a fantastic presentation.
And the cool thing about all these technologies is, I mean, my original vision was to create a series of courses that you could use on your phone, and they felt like the way we use our phone. And this feels like the way I interact with my phone. But I don't have to be an expert to do it. I just have to hit some buttons.
As long as you can, type. As long as you enter, not type, but edit text, copy and paste, Control C, Control V, Control X. You pretty much can do whatever you want with this thing. And then as far as exporting, here are the different options that I was telling you about. So in this case, we did record video, which was the Zoom meeting. So you can click to export the video if you want, or if you don't want to do video, get back there, you could just choose to do the audio instead. They also have these things called an audiogram, which is like they have a bunch of slide pictures that they'll use instead of the video or the audio that you originally have. The audio will play along with it, and then the transcribed words will like animate on as you're saying them. One thing I did want to talk about really quickly is that you will find points in here where the AI transcribes the words wrong. It happens in everything from YouTube to Panopto. Everybody gets it wrong. But if you want to have a completely accurate script and you're going through and you're listening to everything, you're like, well, I want this, make sure all the wording here is absolutely perfect. All you have to do is click on a word, click on correct transcript, change the text here. The audio will remain whatever it is naturally. So you can actually have a 100% accurate transcription if you want to go that deep, because you have some very technical words that have to be, readable by people who need to be able to visually see what they're supposed to be. And like I said, they have transcripts, and you can even export the original recordings, I guess. I think in this one here, separate files, it can sometimes, if you record two people at the same time, it can sometimes have the ability to separate those out into two different tracks if you really want to get technical. So you could just have one person talking without the other person, and vice versa. That's if you want to get to more in-depth stuff, and we don't have to cover that now, but the option is there, which is always nice. Is there any questions so far as to Adobe Podcast?
So my question is how to if I record a lecture or record a video on the canvas, how can I transfer or play that, or how can I put that video into this this software?
Right. So first I would go to home,
Mhm.
and then I would go to the enhanced speech part.
And then drop.
You just
right?
drop the file right there,
Mhm.
and then it'll take 2 to 3 minutes or so to go through your recording and figure things out. The AI will try and figure things out, and then you can play the recording and then move these sliders back and forth to make sure that, because sometimes if you have like the enhanced speech up to 100%, it will cut out some things if you don't pronounce it very well. That happens to be a lot. So sometimes you have to take that slider down to maybe like 50 to 60% so that your pronunciation, like especially mine, can be really bad. I can slur words a lot. So I'll kind of run over my words, and it'll interpret it really weirdly, and it'll come out muffled. So if you're getting those kind of results, that's when you need to know that you need to dial back that enhanced speech part. But then once you're done with that, you'll export it, and it'll download to your computer. I won't show you here, but it'll download to your computer, and you'll have that enhanced audio. And then that's when you go to this studio part, do a new project, and then upload that file that you just download into here. I'd like it that they'd be able to like take a file that you've done on there and just move it over, but apparently they want you to do it, download, upload. And it's fine. You're getting a great product at the end of it, so it's worth a little bit of hassle that way.
Thank you.
Sure. Any other questions? Anybody? No, we're good. Yeah, we're good. Okay, so let me see. Where did we leave off on? So the Adobe podcast. So we'll scoot over here to Pinocchio. I'll just briefly make this full screen so everybody can see it. Like I told you before, Pinocchio is kind of like an app store. So you install the program on your computer, and then you can go to a homepage where it will give you a huge, huge menu of these different AI programs that you can pick from. All the descriptions are there. And I'm not gonna lie, this part here, it starts to get a little bit more difficult, but I'm showing you because this is what I used with Gina's courses as far as image creation and some animation stuff. So it's just worth knowing about. And it's not necessarily rocket science, it's just something that takes practice to go through. So the main tool that I use with Gina's class is called Stable Diffusion. And this is one of the more powerful image generation and I don't know what you'd call it, filter software that you can get personally. Like you can go online, and I think maybe Microsoft Copilot, Google Gemini will allow you to do image creation on them. And it's very basic. Like you have to focus very much on the words that you're saying. Stable Diffusion gets it down to a very, very granular level. I said it the second time. That allows you to make very detailed changes when you want to. Another one that I'm just going to point out here.
This is did I get to the right place? Stable Diffusion.
Oh, so that's maybe the software's like homepage, but Pinocchio is the one that you need to go to. You need to download Pinocchio, and then Pinocchio will have all these tools that are available within it.
Yeah.
And it's a weird spelling, Pinokio. So that's for the image one. And this other one called Dia, and I'll just mention it. We won't really go into it too much, but Dia is a text-to-voice AI program. So maybe you don't want to be the one talking. Maybe you want to use Leonard Nimoy's voice or, somebody else famous that you can find some audio samples for. This will allow you to just literally type out text that you want the AI to say, and it can clone your voice. It can take a sample from somebody else's voice and clone them. There's definitely ethical issues around it, but there are many viable use cases for it. So I'm just mentioning it to put it in your mind. So what I figured I could maybe do is a little demonstration. So I do have Stable Diffusion up here. So what I think I will try and do, we'll try and see if my workflow powers are strong. I don't know here. So I will maybe take a picture of myself like that, and I'll go ahead and email it. You're gonna love this. This is a great photo of me.
I saw your eyes.
You saw my eyes. Yeah. If I can find Outlook, there it is. Okay, so I will email it to myself.
So upload to this software?
Well, I don't have it connected to my computer.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to share Ryan picture. So there's that. And then I'll turn on my audio recorder here and I'll go, help, I'm trapped in the machine. And then I will turn that off. We'll take that guy out. This is
the card.
Yeah, so I took out the card so I recorded on the audio device, took out the card, putting the card into the computer.
Through a USB device.
Through a USB device. Yeah, this is like a speed hack thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm gonna go to my email. Whoop, that's not. No, go to my email here, and there's a picture. So I'll go ahead and save that to downloads, and then we'll go back here. I'll go to my downloads folder, and hopefully there we are. I'll drag that over there so you can see this beautiful picture of me. So I'm just going to run you through the interface really fast. Don't worry if you can't follow along. I'm just trying to show you what you can do with this thing. So what I'm going down here is the aspect ratio. Right now it's set to 512 to 512, but obviously if you have a vertically aligned image, you're going to have to change that to be taller. So I'm going to pull this slider over here until it looks like it's about right there. And then I'm going to say maybe I want 4 different options for it to get me. worry about this. And then I'll go ahead and say, all right, give me some options. And right now, if you look over here in this corner, there's a very specific model that I have picked that'll give me more of a comic book style. And so based on that model, that's maybe, I need to move some sliders around. Hold on. It's hold on.
You have some serious hair.
Yeah, I do. I have way more hair than I thought it was. So one thing to make sure of, this is the denoising strength. If you want it to be closer, yeah, that's definitely not me. If you want it to be closer to what you look like, you got to slide that thing a little bit down there. Give myself an A. Okay, so now maybe it'll be.
What you told me, it's telling it to hallucinate less.
But the more diffusion from like stable diffusion or denoising, the more denoising you have, the more it's hallucinating. So it's dreaming, and obviously that looks nothing like me. Maybe this next round of pictures will look a little bit more what I'm supposed to look like. Yeah, let's see here. There. So that's okay.
Yeah.
Do we like that one?
And it's good.
I think that could probably work. Okay, so maybe we'll download this image, and then I'm going to bring out this. This is kind of the crazy one here that we're working with. It's can't remember the name of it. 10-cent Hanuman. Yeah. So I have no idea what it means. I just know it's cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Joy, what does it mean?
It's the company's name. Actually, it's WeChat, social media. It's the biggest social media worldwide.
Oh.
So 腾讯 is their company's name. And 混元, it means mixed everything, mixed every elements together.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Oh, well, hold on. I need to check this really quick. I know what happened is I only hit record once. I need to hit record twice on this thing. Oh, I'm slowing down. All right. Turn this on. Hit recorder twice. Help, I'm trapped in the computer. Okay. Now I can turn that off. Now I'll be there. Okay. So I'll click. There it is. Away. I'm going to drag that audio there, hopefully. Oh, it didn't recognize the WAV file. Dang it. Maybe it'll do it. MP3. Oh, it's working. Okay, so it's uploading the audio.
The audio is the recording you get.
Yeah, that's the recording.
Okay.
But I guess it doesn't like MP3s. But that's okay. I have a backup plan. Because I've done this before. Oh, okay. So that worked. So it did recognize the audio. Mm-hmm. So then I'm going to hit generate. And we're going to go ahead and let that think for a minute. So now I'll just go back. Does anybody have any questions about the stable diffusion? I'm sure there's a lot. But does anybody have any specific questions?
So stable diffusion is the one that you use to take a photo, a regular boring photo, and make it more comic book, which is what we used for my,
Right. So we made you a little bit more comic booky. Every instructor guest that you would have on. If you go over to the, so this isn't right now, it's on the image to image tab you can see here. On the text to image, you can actually type out an idea that you want it to generate, just like most other image generation software that you'd find on Gemini or Google or one of those others. And it will do its best to approximate that based on the model that you are using. But again, it's going to heavily depend on if you have a decent graphics card in your computer. So just bear that in mind. So, no, not that one, this one here. Okay, so that's going to take it a little bit of time to process. So I guess while that's doing that, I will go ahead and move on to my next slide, which is going to cover video production a little bit. So nowadays, people have it pretty easy. Your phone has a really decent camera in it, not just for still cameras, but also for video. If you go into the different mode selections, you can often have slow motion, low light scenarios. It can do image stabilization. So if you're moving around, it can actually smooth that movement out, which back in the day when I was first learning how to use cameras, if you were shaking around, that footage was shaky. But, modern phones are actually very good at taking care of that shake. The other thing are these guys, these GoPros. I highly recommend these because these are an amazing tool for either if you're going to be doing selfies. I mean, Gina, you can probably talk to how you actually recorded some of your stuff.
Yeah, so I did all of the videos, the opening and closing. I mean, they're 2 to 3 minutes, 3 minutes max. I did all of them using the GoPro. I bought a little stick for like, I don't know, $10 that that I would just screw on that. And then it took me a minute to get used to. I don't tend to use devices like that. So it took me, first of all, it took me a bit to get used to being able to see myself on the screen and just to kind of get a sense of where I was in space with it. And then also Jim told me to stop just holding my arms down all the time. So just the gesturing is good.
You can put some emphasis in your
Yeah.
movements and express yourself.
Yeah. So I got better at that sometimes. But it was super easy to use.
Yeah.
It really was.
The one I have, I think, here is the 10 black, and I love it because it has this little window on the front. I don't know if you can see it, but when you turn this on, let's do that now, that screen comes on and it'll actually show you what you're looking at. So if you're looking at yourself, whatever's going on back here, you can also see in the front display as well. So if you're going to be talking to yourself and you're going to be having it on the stick, you can frame yourself in the image so that you're not, pointed down like this and looking at the ground, or pointed up and looking at the sky. You can actually see that you're correctly looking at yourself, and just making sure that everything is nice and straight. And it also has very exceptional image stabilization and a lot of really advanced photography modes just within this. It's a little bit limited because it's really meant for wide angle viewing. So a lot of selfie stuff, if you're going in a place and doing a thing, this is really the kind of tool that you would bring along with you. But if you want to do some of the more artistic things, if you're really into lenses like me, this is pretty limited in that aspect. It's good for one type of storytelling, but definitely not all types of storytelling. So that's what, like when I say one tool won't work for everything, that's kind of the same thing with this. It's not going to work for everything, but it will work for quieted things you'd be using it for. So before you go out, when you're going to record something, you have to plan out what you want to say and why you want to say it, and also know how it relates to the big picture. And Gina, I think we covered this a little bit in the previous one. Can you tell them about your process of preparing to go and actually do these recordings?
Yes, I embraced my synesthesia. So I embraced the way my brain works, which is to think through an image. And so for each one of the 9 courses, I thought about an image that was a place and tried to decode that. Why was I thinking about that place? How did it connect with the central ideas from the course? It always worked out. I always got there. And then I would, some of the places there were no logistics at all. Some places there were a lot of logistics, like getting to Spokane Comedy Club for the speaking class, of course, giving your students the microphone. Anyway, so that took a lot of logistics to make happen. A lot of places a lot of private spaces that I had to make arrangements with so that I was there before they opened or after they opened. But then there's just the Manitou Duck Pond. And really that was just that everybody and their cat wanted to talk to me while I was making it, even though I was clearly recording something, but whatever.
Good. Okay, so I'll just do a quick callback because the processing is done. So we'll see how it turned out. Yes. Okay. Thank you. I'll try Gemini. Help! I'm trapped in the computer. So not bad. Not bad. Definitely not exactly me, but if you want to create a character, I mean, you can see within 10 minutes, you can come up with the image, you can create the audio, and you can process a piece of media that's ready to be used. I mean, you saw me all do it live. So it's definitely something's doable and within reach of pretty much anybody. But going back to what Gina was talking about, when you're going to be talking about a subject and relating it to your students, think about the previous media that you produced. You sit there in front of the camera with your background and you talk, and there's a talking head, and you just stay there and you just keep talking. and they just have to listen to your voice, and that's the only thing that they have to go on. When you want to make it more engaging, if you're talking about something that's happened, it makes sense to go to the place or someplace related to where that thing happened, and then show yourself doing something that happened in that place. So it's like people can put together the visual cues other than having to just depend on your storytelling ability, which may be amazing. You may be a fantastic storyteller, but it's way better if you're a fantastic storyteller in the environment doing the thing that you're talking about. So that's what I really like to emphasize, because that really makes it, and it makes it more interesting for you. You get to go to a place and do a thing and talk about why it's so interesting to you. And you have these visual cues all around you to pull from, instead of just trying to paint an audio picture with your own words. It's a more creative process.
And the way I think about it, Jim,
Mhm.
is I think about it like, up to this point, when I started working on these courses, I put the entire burden on me to carry every message across the course, every resource I chose, every link I included, every lecture that I recorded, right? Just in it. Yes, indeed, do. It was just me in front of my background. One of the ways that I've changed is I realize there are other elements that can carry the weight too. I don't have to be the only one. So my words that I chose for those videos, that's part of the story, but the place is part of the story. The people walking by are part of the story. So these other pieces are enhancing the motivation to stay engaged, and they're carrying some of the content too. So that's kind of how I think.
And you don't have to do it alone.
Yeah.
That's the important thing that I think everybody kind of forgets, is that we're in this giant university. You have lots of friends around here that you work with and talk with all the time. You don't have to be the only person that's involved in the creation process. Everybody has these different skills, and they want to show them off sometimes. They want to have fun with you. Your friends want to hang out and do cool things. So you can do both and be productive at the same time. I mean, that's what we did, right?
Yeah.
And I guess the last thing I have on here is make sure that you do try and pick a time and place with as few people and interruptions as possible. You can control planes. And again, that Adobe Podcast can take care of a lot of that. But sometimes if you're in like a restaurant and there's music playing in the background and there's plates clanging, and you're pushing the AI tool a little hard. You got to give it a little help, so try and make it as interruption free as possible. But if people are there and related to the subject that you're talking about, and you can include them, that's always a bonus. I like that very much. Okay, and now we get to talk about the fun experimental stuff that you can try if you want to really get creative. And this is also going to be using my favorite thing, the GoPro. So we're going to be talking about, just really briefly, photogrammetry, Gaussian splatting, and 3D printing. So with the GoPro, what you have the ability to do is walk around an object, a person, or within an environment and record video of that process. Go around, I'm walking around a person, I'm walking in a place, and I'm just recording everything I can from lots of different angles. It can be reconstructed in 3 dimensionals within the computer, and it can be printed out with a 3D printer. So you can recreate an entire environment and print that environment out if you want. So you can have a scale model of that area that you're in. That could be a specific, historic location maybe that you want to scan, so that you could put it in front of students and say, hey, look at what this place was like back in the day. Or if we could go there, this is what it would look like and where you'd be standing, in relation to all these other things, or a person or objects that maybe in a museum that nobody can go and see, but you can put it right there in front of them. So I can give you an example of this because a good friend of mine, Mark Lapointe, he's a art instructor over in our building. So he wanted to do a little capture test for us. So he did this thing where he just got down on the ground And I went and record video, and you can see all those little points in that cloud around him. That's the path that my video camera took around him. And you can see that the quality of it is really quite impressive. I mean, the detail, you can go into the folds of his shirt, way up close, these little itty bitty ripples. And, it's really just quite amazing the amount of detail that you can get out of there.
I could do this with classrooms around the world when I travel, right? So that my students can see what does a Nicaraguan classroom look like? What does a classroom in Tokyo look like?
And then you can make it real. For those of you who couldn't really see, this is a 3D print that I made of this exact same. There you go, from the exact same angle. That's our friend Mark Lapointe from the art department. So you can take something from real life, scan it, see it in the virtual environment, and then bring it back into the real environment for your students to be able to experience firsthand. And I know that's a lot, but if you want to, come out and play, we can go through the whole process of doing these things and learning how to use these different tools. And I'm happy to teach anybody at any time, really,
So could we set up for a time with you, either on Zoom or coming over
or in on Mixon? Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So I think that kind of brings us towards the end, at least a little bit. But here I have my slide. Want more training? You can come by the office anytime, Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. or 8 a.m. 8 p.m. to 5 a.m. No, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. That's my personal phone number and my email contact. But I would really like to answer any questions anyone may have, either online or in the peanut gallery over here.
Yeah. I actually just have a question, not about the tools, but just about gamification. It sounds okay.
Mm-hmm.
I really like this idea, but I was just wondering, when you create something and make it into a game, like, do you still maintain the academic rigor of it? Or
Absolutely.
Like, does it kind of dumb it down a little bit?
No, I think Gina can talk to that bridge.
Yeah. So Jim helped me. Were you at the first one?
Yes.
Last time?
Yeah.
I think that what Jim helped me to do is to give students a real purpose right in front of them for doing something with what they were learning. So, for example, I consider it gamification, the idea of the dilemma and key that we had. So I would locate an expert who had experienced some issue that related to the course, and I would interview them and have them describe a real pickle that they were in. And then you go to the end of the course, and one of the final things students have to do is to answer the question, what now? Use everything you've learned. What would you have done? Then they do that, and that opens up I consider that gamification. And I mean, it's wonderful. I mean, what the students produce, it's really fantastic.
And the base idea for gamification is that it all has to start with a story. What is it that you're teaching that is relevant to the students, and where are they going to use it? And then can you put them in that scenario or in a similar scenario? Maybe that's just with a twist, maybe it's from some IP that you are following, or you like doctor shows, or you like Back to the Future or something. Have them be the heroes in that story, and then for each week you have them learn the content that they need to know, and then put them in a situation where they need to put that content to use in order to solve a problem. Then that is when you just get it down to brass tacks. It's making the story where the students are the heroes, and then give them the tools they need to solve a problem that can be done with the content that you're teaching them.
I'm completely won over. Like, it really is. And I never want to make a choice that cheats my students out of some learning. And so I'm just so enthralled with this, because I feel like it's my pathway to get better as an instructor.
Yeah, well, this a lot of the stuff that we're covering with the 3 workshops that Gina and I are putting on is more or less going over what we did with hers and how it's helped her out, how it's made her fall in love with teaching in whole new ways all over again. And I am working on another series with a friend of mine that is a lot more specific to how can we take our content and come up with a story that works and come up with these different problem-solving techniques with the tools that we're teaching these kids and the information they didn't know, and how can we make it a more playable game that they're not just the ones that are playing too. You as the teacher get to play along with them. And that's how we learn the best, is when we're all playing together. You know, it's when you grow up and you become an adult, you think that you're not supposed to play. You're supposed to be a serious person. Yes, it is important to be serious. Yes, you know, we need to do the hard things sometimes. But the best way that we learn is through simulating it, working it out, you know, doing it, working with teams, working with a mentor, working with colleagues to try and problem solve our way through these issues. And that's still playing, no matter how you look at it.
So we have about 2 more minutes.
Anybody have anything else?
I have a question. Do we need to request some access for the videos published on the Faculty Commons website? I just went there. I could not see the video from last week, actually.
Oh,
There's a big picture. Did you click on the picture?
Yes. I clicked on that. Then it asked me to log in. I logged in, and after that, it asked me to request access.
Oh, I know. I think I know what I probably have to do. I probably have to go in there and
Yeah. Here I was.
yeah. So click on that and let's see here. Here, what I probably need to do is share the viewer with link. Maybe that'll do it. All right, you want to try now?
Okay, let me try again then. Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. Okay, here we go. There we are. That should do it. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Now it works. Yeah. The second time it worked.
Awesome. Thanks for letting me know, because you know, I can click on it and watch it all day long because it's my
Yes. I know. Yeah. From your end, you will not realize that. And then this one again, you will be uploading soon, I believe.
Yes.
Today's one.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Any of you think you might incorporate any of this or try any of this out?
Yeah, I think I know one person out of here.
Yeah, I know. Very cool. Yeah.
Yeah, but again, please come down. Come and talk to me. I am happy to walk you through absolutely any questions you might have, to run you through all the different software that you can use. I'm happy to lend out my equipment if necessary. So again, my resources are your resources. I'm here to support you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure thing. All right, guys. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Then see you next week.
Yeah, we'll see you.
Next week.